So, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stars as a powerhouse from ancient times who explodes into the present day with a bad attitude and lots of flashy lightning effects.
I kneel before no one.
But unfortunately, he's not the only thing from the distant past. The movie feels like it was made a few decades ago, before the golden age of superhero movies, and carries none of the wisdom Hollywood has learned from the likes of The Dark Knight and Iron Man and all the other great comic book movies that have come out since then.
Assemble.
The movie is made clunky by too much exposition, the villain is one-dimensional, and there's an over-reliance on spectacle over character and story. Come on, aren't we past all that? Don't we know better by now? Funny story, a little bit of trivia. This movie has actually been in development by The Rock for 15 years, and it feels like the idea he had for that movie was like snapshotted and frozen in time, and then he brought it to the present, but completely ignored all the other movies that have come out since then and learned none of the lessons. So this is more of the vibe of like Daredevil and like Green Lantern instead of all of the much better superhero movies that have come out since then.
That's good advice.
There are some flashes of brilliance here and there, largely thanks to the members of the Justice Society, but overall, Black Adam fizzles out. Which is a shame, because it had a lot of potential. The JSA comic run featuring Black Adam is one of DC's all-time greats. It's one of my personal favorites. It's so good. It showed how his brutal sense of justice made even the best heroes re-examine the line between what is right and what is wrong. But the debate devolves into a confusing garble of generic statements. By the end, it's hard to say who stands where on the subject and why, which is bad when that's what your movie's about. And I do want to be crystal clear that even though I love the comic book, I was not expecting this movie to be a direct adaptation of that. That is not why I think this movie is not so great. It's that they did recognize the awesome stuff in the comic and tried to put it in the movie and just didn't turn out well, because this is not a well-made movie. Johnson plays Black Adam in the same vein as Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2, a stoic, seemingly soulless killing machine who gains a glimmer of humanity and even a sense of humor. While he gets top marks for making his Black Adam just as steely and imposing as in the comics, the character feels a bit too confident and powerful. Makes him come off as one note when there are clearly more layers begging to be explored, like an onion. The main figure opposing his violent ways is Justice Society member Hawkman. While the veteran hero is a sight to behold with his gleaming wings and energized nth metal mace, which is a nice touch I appreciated from the comics, he mainly serves as a punching bag, both physically and metaphorically. He spends a majority of the screen time getting his bird butt kicked, like a lot, and the rest of the time he's attempting to persuade Black Adam to act more like a typical hero. But, and I think unintentionally, they make Hawkman a hypocrite because he aligns himself with a certain morally bankrupt mastermind. Plus, he has no good answer for the people of a war-torn country when they question why his team of supposed heroes never came to save them.
Heroes don't kill people. Well, I do.
So here's the thing, this whole moral quandary about how heroes shouldn't kill is very funny that it's taking place in a DC movie, because we've seen Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman straight up murder people in their movies. But Hawkman's coming out saying, hey, heroes don't kill people. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but all of your heroes kill people. So really, Black Adam fits in just fine, and you're the weirdo, Hawkman. Pierce Brosnan delivers a charming and mysterious performance as Dr. Fate, although the script tries to do too much with his character without earning it. And his abilities look a bit too similar to what we saw Doctor Strange do in Avengers Infinity War. So, for example, both Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate use this like crystalline fractal thing when casting spells. Doctor Strange, of course, got that from the mirror dimension. That's just what Dr. Fate does when he is casting a spell. They both use the doppelganger spell effect, where they make a bunch of copies of themselves to beat up on one big bad guy. And then they both have foreboding visions of the future where they're not allowed to be very accurate about. And it just feels like there's too much overlap between the two. Surely the people at DC have seen what Marvel have done, so when coming up with Dr. Fate's whole deal and what he's going to do in this movie, I think Dr. Fate is deserving of something a little bit different and unique, and that's his own thing for the DC universe. Cyclone and Atom Smasher are in the movie, but don't seem to matter to the plot, and that's a shame, especially for Atom Smasher, because he's the most earnest, entertaining, and natural hero of the bunch. Everyone else spends most of their time dryly explaining the MacGuffin or their backstory. See, this is what I mean. Haven't we moved past this kind of thing? So, with a bit too much going on, Black Adam feels both overstuffed and underdeveloped. And it's not hard to feel as though that's because so much emphasis was put on the relentless barrage of action scenes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good action movie. But when it's the same kind of action on repeat, where we see Black Adam perform an endless string of PG-13 Mortal Kombat fatalities against nameless goons, then it all starts to get old. After about the fourth scene of him mowing down dozens of baddies who didn't stand a chance, I started to wonder why a sort of Black Adam kryptonite was introduced in the first act, but none of the bad guys thought to use it against him later on. I'm just saying it would have made things at least a little more interesting. Also, it has to be said how incredibly strange it is for this movie to completely ignore the fact that Black Adam is linked to Zachary Levi's Shazam, even though they share the same powers, same transformation word, and same lightning bolt logo.
To fighting bad guys.
And instead, it makes several references to Superman as a rival. Now, considering there's a second Shazam movie in the works, like a whole franchise going on there, while Superman pretty much has been MIA following the 2017 Justice League movie, that's a heck of a choice.
Nothing but heartache.
So my final thoughts are, Black Adam overindulges to the point where it's hard to enjoy the movie. It's packed with underdeveloped characters and an excessive number of repetitive action scenes, to the point where its half-baked debate on what it means to be a hero is lost in all the noise. To wrap this up, I'm giving Black Adam a score of 5 out of 10, which on our scale means it's a mediocre movie. Just kinda meh. Try as it might to capture lightning in a bottle, Black Adam never manages to find its spark. Oh yeah, went all out with the lightning puns. When you get a chance to see Black Adam, let us know your thoughts about it in the comments.